Richard Owen was the first to coin the term dinosaur, more specifically dinosauria, from the Greek words dinos, meaning powerful, wondrous, or terrible, and the word saurus, meaning lizard. Right from the start, these ancient animals were labeled with an adjective that would shape our vision of them in a way that may be incorrect according to some fossil records. Right now, I'm heading towards an ichthofossil site that may actually challenge this label. Located in Sesimbra, near Cap Especial, the Pedra da Mua track site shows us footprints from animals that lived in the late Jurassic period, around 150 million years ago. This place has been known since around the 14th century, where it was associated with the legend of the apparition of Nossa Senhora do Cabo, in English, Our Lady of the Cape, or more commonly known as Virgin Mary. According to it, an old lady and an old man came here after seeing a bright light shine over the cape. Upon reaching the location, they saw Mary carrying Jesus while riding a giant mule, climbing the cliff to save them both from the stormy sea. Far-fetched, perhaps, but with little to no education, most of the times explanations for the unexplainable phenomena of the world led to the spiritual and the divine. The scientific explanation came long after, though, in the 70s, when Professor Miguel Teles Antunes of the Nova University of Lisbon associated the footprints to the presence of sauropods. Many others have mentioned the ichthysite, but this video mainly sources the paper of 1994 by Martin Lockley, Christian Meyer, and Wanda Faria dos Santos, who documented Pedra da Mua in great detail, and whose findings may actually go against the name of the animals they study. You see, according to their observations, these trackways belong to a small herd of juvenile sauropods moving in the same direction, accompanied by a smaller group of larger adult sauropods. This shows us that perhaps these animals lived and interacted with each other frequently, unlike modern-day reptiles who rarely interact with their parents or exhibit any social behaviors outside the need of reproduction. The reasons as to why this was the case is up for debate, obviously, but it is widely believed that protection was one of them. As a matter of fact, there have been trackways discovered that showed that young members traveled in the center. Not so terrible after all. From the length of the footprints, you can estimate the hip height of these animals by multiplying by 4, which means they had hip heights ranging from 160 to 280 centimeters. Quite large animals. They were also traveling at speeds ranging from 3.6 to 5 kilometers per hour, and their stride could stretch as far as 2.5 meters. All of this incredible information extracted just from footprints. This constituted the first convincing example of gregarious behavior from a European site, and, at that time, was the best known example of herding amongst juvenile sauropods. Since then, many other track sites have been discovered that showed the same behavior, solidifying the conclusions of the 1994 paper. But how exactly are these footprints from hundreds of millions of years ago preserved? And were these sauropods master climbers? Well, not exactly. At the time of their formation, the ground these animals walked on was mostly flat coastal wetland and had the perfect conditions for a footprint to survive this long. Their marks were quickly covered by new sediments, which hardened and turned into rock after millions of years. The layers containing the footprints were then raised and tilted by tectonic plate movements and revealed after millions of years of erosion due to rain and seawater. But this isn't the only site of paleontological significance here. Remarkably, not even 1,000 meters away, we find footprints we can sit next to. Here we are in the Lugster site, with a collection from the Cretaceous period, around 130 million years ago, with markings from ornithopods and some theropods as well. Unlike Pedra da Mua, footprints here can be observed far closer, which allows for a much better sense of scale of these animals and their danger as well. Wow, isn't that incredible? From these footprints, we can gather tons of information like we did from the previous ones. For example, these stridactyl predators were running at a speed of about 12 kilometers per hour. Were they hunting, traveling, or running from something bigger? We can only guess, since there's only so much we can obtain from such small data. However, it is this small data that contributes to the evolution of paleontology. These studies allow us to perfect the reconstitution of these animals because their footprints teach us about their stature, hand and foot morphology, individual and collective behaviors, and also the diverse environments they inhabited. What's best is that these sites are completely open to the public, allowing children and adults alike to come explore and learn more about the study of these ancient creatures. I extend an invitation for you to come visit these wonderful locations, but I also recommend great caution when descending down to the Lugster site. The experience, especially for young people, is incredible. Trust me, looking at these in person is a lot better than watching a video. I'd like to thank Professors Octavio Mateus and André Barros, as well as Ana Pólvora from the Museum of Sesimbra, for providing information and guidance throughout the making of this video.